Hey guys, time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So just me here today. Rafa's still on vacation and Jacob was out today. And so pretty much focused on the buggy today. I didn't really do a heck of a lot on the chassis itself. One tiny thing that I did now that I've got some zinc plating back is I put back in the original KMAX beam to panhead bolts. I had the beam bolted on there previously, but I just had temporary bolts because I was waiting on these pups to come back from zinc plating. Anyway, they're back, and so I went ahead and installed those and bent the tabs on these lock plates. We like to use these on cars, even something like a buggy, just because they're cool and they're correct, and we like those kind of details. So instead of using, like, say, a lock washer, there's these sheet metal plates that after the screw is tightened down, you basically bend those against the heads of the bolts, and that's what holds them in place from working themselves loose. Obviously, you don't want your front end falling off. So those lock plates, yeah, we love those. So those are used all over the front of these cars. There's a bunch on the steering and stuff like that. We use all that stuff. We like to use original type stuff when we can, instead of just throwing like more modern hardware on there. Just because it's cool and it's fun. So the main thing I worked on for this car today was some of the engine components. So let's take a look at that. So first thing I did was the fuel pump, and came out pretty nice. Very happy with it, with zinc plating and a new rebuild kit. This fuel pump, I was telling the owner, was literally the grossest fuel pump I've ever seen. It had so much gunk on it. It was basically like a big ball with this hose coming out of it. You couldn't see any part of this except that hose coming out. It was so thick with crud. And it had this tag on it, which you couldn't even see because the gunk was so thick. So anyway, yeah, very happy with how this came out. This is not an original German one. It's just kind of a no-name, but it's a nice pump. So we decided to just go ahead and roll with it. It's what came with the car. So there you go. It's probably like a US made one or something. I couldn't really find any stampings on it, but it looks really nice. So we're using it. And the carburetor, likewise, this carburetor wasn't too bad off the car. It wasn't a big ball of goop like the fuel pump was, but nonetheless, blasted the whole thing down to nice bare metal, completely disassembled it, sent everything out for zinc plating, put a new rebuild kit in it. On the brass hardware, I like to go with it lightly on a wire wheel and kind of shine it up a little bit, make it look pretty. And yeah, that's pretty much it. His choke element is actually pretty nice, so cleaned it up a little bit and used it. It looks good. It's got a little chip in it. You might be able to see it there, but yeah, overall really nice and really original. So there you go. Happy with how those came out. The only thing is, both of these fought me more than they normally would. Usually these things just go right together, but I think when the zinc plating guys did all the hardware for these, I don't know if they did a little bit thicker than they usually do, but the screws, these 6 here and the 5 here that hold the top on, they pretty much would not go in. And I think the zinc plating was too thick on those small little threads. And so I had to, some of them, I ended up kind of wire wheeling the threads to get a little bit of the excess zinc plating out. Some of them I actually ran a die over. So yeah, it took me a bit longer to assemble these than it normally would, but it's just one of those things. I don't know if they were, maybe somebody fell asleep when the zinc plating was being done and they zinc plated for too long, whatever, but it was definitely a bit on the thick side. So took care of it, and now they're looking good. Also got together the pedal assembly today, so I'd completely disassembled this previously, sent the pedals themselves out for powder coating, cleaned up and painted the base here. The bushings and everything were okay, so I just left them, put a new spring on it. The original one was broken. And then here is the original piston rod for it. That's all zinc plated. I blackened the little sheet metal thing that holds the brake pin in. Some little details like that. The other thing I did was I started playing around with his ebrake setup, which had this cool original style cutting brake system on it, which basically uses the e-brake to add cutting brakes to the car. So for those of you that may not know what cutting brakes are, is when you're driving a car off-road, cutting brakes allow you to apply the brakes on like a single rear wheel. So say you want to make a really sharp right-hand turn in the dirt, you could apply just the right rear brake, and what that would do would kind of like pivot the car around really quick, like faster than you could by just cranking the steering wheel. So cutting brakes. Anyway, so this cool old setup is basically made to work off the emergency brake cables, and what happens is these levers, actually the emergency brake cable kind of pretty much runs through these instead of through the handle. And so what happens is you set the emergency brake a few clicks, like maybe enough to drag but not enough to really stop. And then when you're driving along and you want to apply the cutting brake on one side or another, or turning brake, you push down that lever, and you can see how that would like basically pull the cable. And so there you go, some kind of cool retro stuff here. Unfortunately, after I got the instructions for this and understand how they work, I realized that this e-brake lever here, which this piece was not attached to, is not going to work. I thought this had been taken off on purpose. This is actually supposed to be on there and work with these, but the spot welds at some point failed on this. So I'm going to go ahead and find a replacement good e-brake, stock e-brake lever, and then it's pretty much just a matter of like drilling a single hole in it in the right place, and then these will go on and we'll have cutting brakes. So anyway, pretty much that's it for today. Cowlick Bug didn't get any love today. Jacob's car didn't get any love today. No love for the 64 or the 59. So that's it for today, guys. We will see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.